like to talk a little bit about this World War III thing and a plan that I have and why I think we're going to be okay. So, as you may know, Mr. Joe Biden has just given permission for Ukraine to go ahead and use our long-range missiles and go right into Russia with them. And it's really not a good idea, Mr. Biden. I'm not sure why Joe is doing this. I don't know if it's really him making the decision. It might be this shadow government, whoever it is that got him to drop out. Who knows? It could be him just pissed off. He's pissed off he got pushed out and he's ready to go out with a bang. It could be whoever his puppet masters are. They're actually, they're like ready to just commit suicide as a country rather than admit that they're going down, because the tide is changing. The tide is really, really changing now with this new dream team with Trump, and also with the rest of the world who's been watching. They have been seeing our decline as a country for years, and our dollar sign is going down also. They're not as dependent on our dollars, and they've been watching us. And so we, who are supposed to be the representatives of democracy, are not showing up well. So what I think is we have to reach across the aisle and heal the divide. And I'm very hopeful because it's already been happening. So we have this dream team that Trump has amassed to him. And I really think it's a God thing, honestly. I don't know what you believe. We may or may not have the same beliefs about what God is, but I think it's undeniable that it's a God thing. So I'm personally a Bobby Kennedy supporter. I was a volunteer, and I've been on Bobby's side since he started running in April, I think, of 2023. And I have seen that man duck and pivot and do everything he needs to do to deal with the dirty DNC. And I now have seen Trump do that too. And I used to be a TDS person. I had full-on TDS. And I even marched down the streets of San Francisco with the pink pussy hat on when he got elected in 2016. And this time I voted for him. So I was a healthy, hippie, health freedom person back in the day, and that's how I found out about Bobby. And so I've been following him this whole time. And where I think the God thing comes in is it's like the DNC has crunched down so hard, so undemocratically, with no primary, and trying to kick Bobby and Marianne and Dean Phillips out, and then Bobby went independent, and they kept suing him and trying to keep him off the ballots, even with Nicole Shanahan stepping in. And then what happens? Donald Trump almost gets assassinated, and he keeps talking about his little chart or whatever. He made him turn his head just slightly so it whizzed by. That was a God thing. And if it weren't for that God thing, I don't think that Kennedy would have opened his heart to the level that he needed to open his heart to be ready to step into the possibility of a partnership with Donald Trump, because he knew it was going to cause so much trouble being a Kennedy Democrat. You know, his family's the Camelot of that party. And so it was a huge thing for him to open his heart up to that idea and to step down. And then they talked through Callie Means and Joe Polish and Tucker and all these people. It's like all this God weaving that happened to get them to talk right after the assassination attempt. And they felt each other. I think they resonated. They had these similar experiences. You know, Bobby was obviously very formed by his dad and uncle being assassinated. So they got each other. And because of that, Bobby helped Trump swing this huge red wave. And then I think it was Bobby's sacrifice in a lot of ways, and coming in and joining with Trump, that helped other people do that. It's like, you know, that first crazy dancer that joins the one dancer out there. Well, Bobby joined in, and then Elon comes in, and all these other people. So we've amassed this dream team with Vivek and Tulsi, who've been supporting him for a long time, Donald. And so we have a dream team now. So things are different than last time. So here's where we're getting into my faith about it. I do think it's a God thing. I think God's in control, and I think we're in a different position this time. So here's the plan. I have an A and a B plan to prevent World War III. So it all hinges around this concept of reaching across the aisle. We really have to heal the divide. That was one of Bobby's mottos and slogans during his campaign, was heal the divide. And I'm seeing that happen already. So what's happened with the DNC is that they have just backed themselves into a wall so much, and they have pushed people away so much, and it's become so evident just how dirty they played during this election, that even some of the really smart minds in the progressive movement, like Cenk Uygur and other people, are saying, hey, I'm being treated better having conversations with the Republicans. And a lot of people are waking up, and they're moving over to this new unity party. And so even like Morning Joe and Mika, they just went and met with Trump. They said out loud the thing that we've been saying, which is, don't just talk about the guy, go talk with the guy. So they went and they talked with Trump. So here's my idea. I think that Trump should get together with Morning Joe and any of his dream team that they want to go together and go talk to the other Joe Biden, and just be like, look, dude, I know you're pissed off. I know you want to go out with a bang, or maybe even you're being pressured to do this by your handlers, but really think about your legacy. Is this the legacy that you want to leave, that you are responsible for the downfall of democracy, possibly a huge World War III? You're helping the Ukraine and NATO and everything that NATO represents step over that red line. It's the red line that Putin has been cautiously warning us about for a long time now, for many years. And we talk about the IDF in Israel and how it's part of their ethos, supposedly, to give warnings and knock on doors and drop flyers and texts and say, we're going to bomb. Okay, well, Putin's been doing that. Putin's got all the nukes, all right? He's been saying, here's my red line. NATO has gone all the way up to his red line, and now, Joe Biden, you have just given Ukraine permission to send our missiles into Russia. This is not a good idea. This isn't the legacy. This is not the optics. It's no. I don't know who's handling you, but you have the power. You are the sitting president to back off. You can call that off. All right? So that's plan A, because you and Trump, Mr. Biden, you're bros now. I saw it. It was like the AI dreams come true. All those AI pictures that people put out, that's like you and Biden now. So you're homies, okay? You and your homie and Joe, Morning Joe, now that he's Trump's homie too, y'all can all sit down and put out the olive branch to each other and show the way. Show the world that the enemies can come together. What was it? Lincoln's I can't remember what it is, but whatever of enemies, the room of enemies, the table of enemies, I can't remember what it's called. Anyways, you can do that. You can show the world, all right? Now here's the backup plan, plan B. If Biden is not cooperative, then I say Trump and your dream team, you go right over to Putin or call him up. Maybe you need a new red line, a red phone, like the Khrushchev phone that Kennedy had. And talk to Putin and just be like, look, they see how much destruction is going to happen when I take office. Speaking as Trump. You know they're scared. They're pulling this, they meaning Biden and his handlers, are pulling this because they would rather see us go down than have their power toppled. Because we're coming in with sledgehammers, okay? We're going to bust some shit up. And we're going to make it better and mend this thing. All the corporate capture, everything with the lobbyists and the term limits and, pharmaceuticals, advertising on TV, all this stuff is going to really shake the foundation of this non-democratic way that we've been doing things here. And they're scared. So you go to Putin and you say, hey, they're trying to put you in a corner, and I don't approve of that. There's only 2 more months here. Let's see what we can do to stave off this situation. Please don't get your nukes out. You've been very patient. I appreciate how patient you are. Let's be friends or friendly, or at least respect each other's nuclear warheads. And let's flip the script. Instead of putting Putin in the corner where his back is up against the wall, let's flip the script. Let's get on X. We have Elon. We have X. We have our beacon. We have our broadcast. We are more powerful than the legacy media now. Let's get on X and let's tattle and say, hey, we see what you're doing. We're flipping the script. You're feeling like you're in the corner. You are in the corner. We're not going to let you get away with this. You need to calm it down, cool it down with Putin. We've told him we're going to make you cool it down. And so it's all about coming together. And I have a lot of faith that this can be done because we are, like I said earlier, in such a different position than we were last time. We have Bobby freaking Kennedy. We've got Elon Musk who sends rockets out and catches them again. We've got all these smart businessmen. We've got Tulsi Gabbard. We've got such resources. We have X. You can't push us and censor us and hold us down anymore because we have the freedom of speech. That's our number one amendment to make us the democracy we are. And we hold that sacred. We have our freedom of speech. And you know it, and you're scared. And you see that the legacy media is falling. And now you're out there trying to find, well, who's our Joe Rogan? Because we've got Joe Rogan. We've got Tucker Carlson. We have the new media. And we know why we have the new media? Because you've been pushing us out. So what happens when you keep trying to squash the roaches? You keep pushing us away. Not that we're roaches, but, it's a metaphor. You keep pushing us away. We're going to make our own media. We're going to make our own resources. We're going to create our own networks. We're going to create our foundations. And you just can't stop us. So now you're scrambling because you realize that legacy media doesn't have the power that it used to have. It's the podcast and the independent media that won this election. And once we take out pharma advertising, your media is going to be lost. So now is the time to really come together. It's the time to extend the olive branch, to put out your hand, to cross the aisle. We can have a Congress that can work together. We can secure our borders and protect our people. There's so much that we can do together. We can prevent freaking World War III. We can stay living on the planet. How about that? So with that, and I just want to say this got spurred on by this incredible conversation with my housemate and bestie, one of my few besties, Stephanie. And so I told her, I said, I'm going to film this. This conversation was so deep. We've been following Bobby this whole time, and it's just been amazing. Yeah, the left, they're just out of touch. They're elites. That's the last thing I wanted to say that we were realizing we were talking through this, is just, they're so out of touch. It feels different when you watch a conversation in this new independent media of the right. These are thoughtful people. They're not all agreeing, and that's okay. And they have a lot of deep thought. And on the left, it's just parroting the talking points and a lot of emotional immaturity. I think it's the people are so out of touch, and I'm sorry, but like, if you have gender dysphoria and you're confused and you're on TikTok all day long screaming and ranting about how upset you are about this and this, that's out of touch. That's ungrounded. Do you think poor people in Mexico care about gender dysphoria? They're just trying to feed their families. And the left has become so out of touch. It's the elites and all the ideologies, and they're all complaining and dividing, and they lost the ear of the American people in this election. We have this red wave mandate, and I believe we have a changed Donald Trump. He's had a spiritual God reawakening. He has Bobby on his side now, who's my hero. I'm going to keep singing his praises. And yeah, I think this is just, it's time. It's really time to heal the divide. So with that being said, I'm just going to play a little tone here. And if you want to close your eyes for a minute, if this resonated with you whatsoever, just take a moment with me right now. Close your eyes and take a deep breath into your belly. I'm going to play a tone and just sing a little bit. Sing the sound of my prayer. I'm not going to sing any words because we could agree or disagree on the words. I'm just going to sing from my heart, and you can hear the truth of it. And send your prayer, and let's all send our prayers out, that we can keep the peace. Because what did Kennedy say he wanted on his gravestone? He kept the peace. Let's keep the peace. That's the job of the president, is to keep the peace. And we can help with our prayers. Peace be with you.